our sponsor, Parati's Quality Meats, located in Cranford, New Jersey, serving customers all over New Jersey for the past 50 years. Welcome to another edition of Coach's Talk, presented by the Shore Football Report. And today we have the head football coach, Jackson Liberty, Coach Jim Sharpless. Coach, thanks for coming on the show today.
Hey, thanks, Coach, for having us.
Awesome. So we got a lot to talk about your program, and let me talk a little bit about you first. Let me embarrass you a little bit, and then you could talk about the process where you're going to talk about all your steps that led you to be the head coach at Jackson Liberty. Coach Sharpless, this is his 9th season at Jackson Liberty, and the unique part about this is you've been there from day one when the school opened up, and you were there with Coach Timmy Osborne, a good friend of mine. So you were there 9 years, and then 7 years before that as a loyal defensive coordinator there, and you've seen everything from when you started to now. And I'm curious, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. But how proud is it that you were there from day one? So you saw everything.
Yeah, and it is unique because you and I both have that same experience. Most people don't.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's something that I try to remind the kids about. I've been on the sidelines for every game ever played
awesome.
at that stadium.
That's awesome that you can actually talk about any player that ever played at Jackson Liberty because you saw it. You were on the sidelines for every single game. Not too many people can say that, So hopefully you keep that consistent. And I really believe that is important for kids to know when they take their heads off the pillow that somebody's going to be there all the time. And it really is important. Continuity is very important to you, right?
Yes, it is.
That's awesome, man. And love to hear stories about that 7-year stretch of Coach Timmy Osborne, too, with that. Before that 7 years there, you were at Marist High School as a defensive coordinator for 1 year. Before that, you were at one of the best colleges out there, William Patterson University, an alum.
Go Pioneers! Go Pioneers!
We got to give them their due. 3 years
That's
you were
right.
there as the linebacker coach. And before that, you started your coaching career at Ferris High School as a freshman coach. And then 3 years later, you were the defensive coordinator. So you were there for 4 years. So that's a nice little rundown of everything you've been at. And I can't wait to hear all the stops, especially William Patterson. I want to hear some of the gossip stuff of William Patterson. So with that, Coach. So that takes us to the process. Walk us down to when you first started falling in love with football as a player and walk us through each step, talking about how you got to be the head football coach at Jackson Liberty. Go ahead.
Sure. So like a lot of us, I was, 7-year-old boy, started playing in North Bergen town, my hometown, in the Pop Warner program, and, went all the way through to, 8th grade. It was a little different time back then. I believe the 8th grade team had to weigh 125 pounds.
That's scary. These kids are a lot bigger now. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a lot of sweating going on, a lot of spitting, and to try and make the weight and all that. But it's where I fell in love. North Bergen, if you know about New Jersey football, it is a proud football town. Mm-hmm. So that's where I came from. Onto high school, I went to St. Joe's of the Palisades in West New York, and unfortunately, that school's no longer around. So, like a lot of Catholic schools, they closed their doors about 7-8 years ago. Mm-hmm. And onto Willie P, I went and played a couple of years for John Cray in the mid '80s, and I didn't stay in school. I got out of school and took a few years to figure things out, and back to work I went, and then I started to volunteer my time coaching at Pop Warner in North Bergen, right where I started, and I fell in love with coaching. It actually determined my path for my career. I said I want to be a teacher, so I can do this all the time. And went back to school. I had about 2 more years to finish up. And, I was still very interested. I went back to William Patterson and, still very interested in football, so I stayed with the Pop Warner. And then I got into to more sophisticated levels of coaching.
Hmm.
The high school in Jersey City. It was one of my old high school coaches. Picked up the phone and said, "I get you a job tomorrow," because in the inner city, they always need help, always need coaches,
Hmm.
and that's where I got started. Actually, got my first teaching job in Jersey City. I taught up there for about 6, 7 years. And along the way, I got a job at William Patterson. I was getting some additional classes in special education, and I stopped in the football office one day, and I met the coach because I had a Ferris football player who was playing at William Patterson. So I stopped in to check on him, and when I did, Larry Arrico was the head coach at William Patterson.
Hmm.
He asked me, "Hey, do you want to coach here?"
Wow.
And yeah, and it was a little tough situation because I was all set to start another year at Ferris, and
What time of the year was it,
um,
Coach? And what time of the year was it? And how far of a
it
commute
was
was it?
it was the summer, and
Wow.
for me, I lived up there. It was 25-minute ride. It
Okay.
wasn't that bad. They actually start the football practice day at about 4 p.m. Unlike us, we're on the field at 2 o'clock.
Right. Right.
So it was doable. So I was able to get my car after school, but it was the summer, and we had already begun some summer stuff at in Jersey City,
Hmm.
and it was a tough time just to say goodbye to those kids because that's their life. Their life is a lot of times people leaving them. So for me, it was a little tough to say, hey, I'm going on to something else.
Hmm.
So I remember it was a tough time to tell the kids, but I made I made some lifelong friends, in Paris, with some great guys that I'm still good friends with today. And I had a great learning experience there. We weren't very good. It was when Rowan was in their heyday, and we had a couple of you know tough games in the NJAC. The NJAC was where on its way to
Coach,
being
did you
prominent.
coach? Did you coach any guys who later became coaches in the Shore Conference when you were at William Patterson?
No, I had, when I got down here later on, and I started to realize that you and Kaz and Lenny all went there. I wasn't with any of those guys. Um, I did coach Andy Howell, who was
Hmm.
a really good coach up in Rutherford, who just stepped aside to become an administrator just this year. But
Hmm.
he was a coach of the year up there, and he
Hmm.
won a state title. And I had the opportunity to coach him. Some other guys that are position coaches around the state,
Hmm.
and things like that. But no of the short conference guys. Actually, you know what? There was a guy. He's at Monmouth, the head coach at Monmouth Regional,
Wendell.
Danny Wendell. Yeah, he was a tight end for us up there, and
Hmm.
he actually tore his ACL twice
Oh wow.
when he was up there. Yeah, he had some rough time. What
Mm.
a great guy he is, and yeah,
And you got to
I did.
coach
I did.
against him. No, you're playing him this year.
No,
No,
I'm
no,
not.
yeah,
But we scrimmaged each other because we had a good relationship. We
good,
got together quite a bit, and we scrimmage and things like that.
good, good.
Danny's a great guy.
What made you
So,
leave? What made you want to leave William Patterson to get back into high school to coach?
well, the athletic director made us want to leave because they fired the head
Oh,
coach,
okay, that
and
helps.
I was actually Jerry Flora managed to stay on,
Hmm.
and I could have. I guess I could have gone back and been an assistant there, but I thought I had moved, and I went on to Marist High School, and I was living in Brick for that job.
Hmm.
It was tough because I had a commute
Yeah.
on the weekends. During the week, I stayed up there. I stayed actually with my sister and her family, and I was married. I hadn't had any kids yet, so it was doable. I was able to stay up there during the week, but that was a 1 year thing because I knew I had to get something, closer to home.
Hmm.
Just so happens, my wife's from Jackson. I'm driving to her house, and we see this construction of this new high school. And I started inquiring about it. I started inquiring about the football position
Mm-hmm.
there. So the Ralph Coretta, the athletic director, he actually knew someone that I knew, and he was able to tell me that I have a special ed teacher.
Mm-hmm.
There's plenty of opportunities. Going to have a new high school. So I applied. I asked about the head coach, uh, um, if he needed coaches, and I was able to arrange a meeting with Timmy Osborne. I met him in a I met him in a diner in Brick. Never seen him before,
Mm-hmm.
and talk about an intimidating guy.
Yeah, coach.
You
Yeah.
know, he's in a suit. He's still a state trooper at the time. He's a plainclothes state trooper, and he's what he looked like. He was bald. He was 6'2" and chiseled.
Yeah.
And I met him, and I was fortunate enough to say to him that I had ties to Warren Wolf. My father and Warren grew up together. They played football together up
Mm-hmm.
in Memorial in West New York.
Mm-hmm.
So I was able to, I think Timmy, when he heard that, he saw that,
Yeah.
we had a little connection there,
That's Timmy.
and that was it. I started working at Jackson Liberty right from there,
Great.
and it was, you know, just a great friendship with a great guy.
That's awesome. That's a yeah. So that's how you got started at Liberty, and then
Mm-hmm.
and then we all know when Coach Osborne passed away. Um, how did you become the head football coach? Was it everybody trying to go in? Was there a lot of applicants all over the place? How did it
It
fall?
was it was in the spring, and
April. Yeah.
yeah, and I don't think with the shock that the kids went through, I didn't think they wanted to bring in someone. So there was a heavy, um, um, they were leaning toward someone who had been there. So Frank Gianetti and myself
Yeah.
were there since the beginning, and we probably had the most years in, and we were both teachers in the school, and you know Frank didn't want it. I'm sure he would have been a great head coach, and he just wasn't ready. He didn't want to. I guess what
Yeah.
what goes into being a head coach.
Yeah.
I was about to find out. I hadn't known yet, but Frank stayed on, and he was a great assistant. And I was fortunate to get the job. I don't think they really had a lot of desire to bring in anyone else. So I was kind of fortunate in a horrible situation. It worked out well for me.
Coach, you had, I mean, that's a really interesting path that you took, and that had to be a tough time for you as being a first year head football coach after their head football coach passed away, and you had those kids as an assistant coach, so you knew them. That had to be a really tough time for you guys to, and as a head coach, to not only transition to a new head coach, but because of your good friend too, who passed away. That had to be tough. So, I was there with you guys when it happened. I just couldn't imagine what you were going through and your program.
Yeah, it was. I mean, the whole school community, teachers, administrators from the other school, from everywhere, all reached out to me. Some of you guys in the short conference, Dan Duddy, I remember, Chuck Donahue, I remember, some really nice phone calls from guys I really didn't know. As an assistant, you say hello to them before a game, but how well do you know these guys? I'm a Hudson County guy. I'm not really a short conference guy at the time, but some of those conversations were really really helpful.
Coach, I'm going to say one thing about Timmy because, and then we'll get on with air. But he was a tough guy. He was, and he was a good friend. And two stories about him. I was the head football coach of the Ocean County, and he was my GM. So he was my Ocean County GM. Well, he got into a car accident that week, and I had yeah, real bad one. This was a year before he passed away, and I had to do all the managerial stuff. And he was so apologetic to me. I apologized. And here he's in the hospital, right? I said, Tim, I said, we're going to dedicate this game to you. Don't do that. Don't do that. I said, no, we are. We're going to do it. Don't do it. So I hanged up with him, right? So I told the team before the game, I said, we're going to play this game for Coach Osborne, this and that. Well, we got beat pretty bad. Monmouth County beat us pretty bad. I get a phone call immediately after the game. He goes, don't you ever dedicate that type of game to me ever again. He goes, you hear me? Oh, he was so funny with that stuff, with that. And
Oh, if you couldn't get your chops busted, you couldn't hang out with him. He was the king of that.
so, you did a great job transitioning and creating your own vibes in your program. All right, Coach, I'm going to take this thing off the mask. Last year was a very tough time for everybody in the country with COVID. Wearing a mask makes everybody cringe. I want to talk about something positive though in your program. What did you learn but you couldn't be you couldn't have any experience in all the years you've had as a coach in college and all the other stops to prepare you for this, the COVID. So I want to hear something you learned in your program, something positive with the COVID season last year.
Well, I think what we all learned, kids, coaches, is yeah, not to take it for granted, not to take uh, a Wednesday practice for granted, a Saturday, lift, run, and film session. The things that you just part of our grind and part of showing up every day could be gone like that. And twice it happened to us last year. We missed 3 of our scheduled games. So the message to the kids was, this could be over tomorrow, and make the most of practice, make the most of every opportunity you have, even if it's a lifting day or whatever it is. Um, when that stuff gets taken from you, then you miss it. So while we have it, and that's the message that we kind of stuck with, because it's kind of reared its head again, the masks and things like that, and there's a bit of an uptick in COVID land. So we still tell them, let's be smart. Let's some of the things we learned about staying safe and things like that. Let's carry that on, and let's be grateful and thankful that we have another practice or game.
Coach, I'll tell you, man, I mean, I was so grateful just being on the football field and being a head
Yeah.
coach. You're dealing with issues. So our first practice, our first workout, I came on the field and I told the guys, I said, I'm going to kiss the ground as soon as I get on the field there because I'm just so grateful to be there. So everybody's on the practice field and doing this. So I go on to the corner of the end zone. I kiss the field. Thank you. I come on there, right? 20 minutes later, my line coach tells me, he goes, Rob, I had to wipe up all the, on the new turf, there was some geese poop and all that. And I looked at him, I go, okay, where was it? He goes, in the corner of the end zone. I go, which corner? Because I went to there and right away I kissed it, but I didn't care. I didn't care, Coach. I didn't care. But you take things for granted. And when we all were praying, let's just get on the field at least one day. And every day was just like putting money in the bank. We won the day, right? And we all did. Win, lose, or draw.
We're playing games on Tuesday nights and Wednesday nights, and we'll do anything. Hey, the team wants to play us. Yeah, let's play it. We don't have any film on you. We don't have a game plan. Let's play.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And that's it. And you know what? We played our best game when Asbury Park canceled the COVID, the last game of the year. So 2 days prior to it, St. John Vianney said, "You guys want to play?" And my coach was like, "No, don't play. We're not prepared." I go, "Yeah, sure. We played our best game and we practiced one day, coach." So kids are kids. Kids are kids. They just want to strap it on, play. It's us coaches that put so much burden and stuff on there that we've learned a lot that maybe quantity, quality too of practices and all that could be kind of changed this year. So
absolutely.
Okay, Sharpless, Coach. Jackson Liberty High School football schedule on the left. I'll let you talk a little bit about that. And then when you're done, we'll kind of chime in a little bit with the Patriot Division, a bunch of new faces that you and the other teams have to kind of go through this season. So, Coach, please talk about your schedule on the left.
Okay, so right off the bat, there are a couple of old faces. We love playing. I'll still call it you guys, because it's gonna be odd not seeing that you know Hawaiian shirt on the pregame when you walk in the field. So it's definitely nice to see them back on the schedule. Same thing with Manchester and Point Borough. Those are B South teams that we're used to playing. There are some new faces for sure. Asbury, we've never played. I'm looking forward to playing them up at their place too. It's a neat place to play a game, and they have a great tradition, and they'll be a great test for us. Point Beach, another team that we've never played, we were able to get them uh, from to to not go on the last week, and we were able to like finagle the schedule a little bit to get to play them prior to week one. So that's going to be a tough game too. I mean, I've watched a lot of film on them. They're a tough team. They were young, which means I'm watching a game last year, and there's 4 or 5 freshmen playing for them.
Mm-hmm.
So we all know when we play sophomores, what can happen, let alone freshmen.
Mm-hmm.
So I expect those kids to have grown a lot, both physically, and just getting more mature. So they're going to be a really tough test too. And looming at the end is Jackson Memorial. If you'd asked me 5 years ago, I would be reluctant to want to play them. I mean, they had some great runs, and they really handled us over that period of time. And I think we cornered with them in terms of being able to play with them. And we had a nice little run. We in 2018 we're actually able to knock them off for the first time. That was probably the best win in the school's history, I would say, right up there, top 2 or 3. And it's always fun to go play them because there's always that the kids know each other kind of thing, obviously, and there's also a sense of that we could play with them. Last year 6-0 at halftime. I mean, they took care of us in the second half for sure, and we'll let our kids know that happened. But we always love playing Jackson Memorial. It's going to be at their place this year, and when we did beat them, we beat them at ours. So it's a great goal to have to maybe to get one over there.
Coach, one question before we talk about your division. Now you have one board of education in Jackson. That's correct, right?
Yes.
Okay. So you got one board of ed. So the town is united. You just have 2 different high schools. So there are a lot of players on both teams that probably played with each other in different various sports throughout the years, right? The youth level, baseball, basketball, football, soccer, whatever.
For sure.
The town, how does the town react when everybody gets together and play a game? It's got to be a little different atmosphere than any other game. Would you agree?
Yeah, over the years I've seen it morph a little bit. It was so let's take you back to 05. They're a 12-0 team. Castellano and that crew are state championship team. And I think when they opened our school, initially it was a little tough for them. They obviously came back around a few years later, but initially, there was what I felt was a feeling of, well, this new school really screwed things up for our great football team.
Right.
And there was a little bit of that. I don't see that as much anymore. We have our own identity, that's different from them. The school demographically is very different from the other school, I believe. The town is different. On the east side of town, housing is different. It's a different kind of neighborhood, and when we do get together, sure, it's the town comes out. It's a great atmosphere. The place is packed, and you know how big our place is, and we can't pack it for any game like that, and we pack it. Probably about 4,000
Wow.
can fit in there, um, and it's packed. So I kind of don't think that animosity exists anymore.
Hmm.
There is one Pop Warner or AYF program that feeds both high schools, and the guys who run that are just as cordial and nice to me as they are to Vinny Mistretta.
Wow,
They
that's
treat
good.
us the same. In fact, we got the keys to their turf field for any kind of practice we need. If the turf is better for us to use that day, we can just go there whenever we want. I couldn't be any happier with the guys over there. They're great. So you know, um, we just probably need to do a better job when we play them. And that's
You,
that's that's on us.
you closed the gap. That's what you did. You closed the gap, and that was a big win. I do remember when you guys won, and that's always big to get your first um, program against a rival school that's been there a lot longer than you have. So that was good, coach. The division to the right, the Patriot division. Now, us coaches, we have to get used to calling our divisions a different name because it's not the A South, B South, all that stuff
No.
anymore. So it's the Patriot division, and they put these group of teams together for 1 year. A lot of faces probably that you're not very familiar with, and they're not familiar with you. So let's just talk briefly about your newly formed Patriot division. Asbury Park, they're going to have some athletes. They've always been in the lower division. They bumped up, coach, this year.
Mm-hmm.
But they're always a scary team. And Barnegat is, I feel very good. I left Barnegat in good hands with a lot of key kids back, and we have a middle school program every year that's pumping things out. And I don't think they're going to be any different in terms of results for the near future. I think my whole staff is back, so everybody's back except me, which is the Hawaiian shirts off the sidelines. So that's good for them. And,
Yeah.
and and then of course we don't have to talk about you. We're talking about you right now in the whole show. Manchester's got a bunch of skilled top level guys back. They have 5 returning all division players, and they're going to be very good this year. And Point Borough is going to be a very, very good team with a lot of high numbers. And Coach Kaz, of course, year in year out, Coach, he's a traditional team that goes for the championship or the state playoffs every single year, from top to bottom. For me looking in, that's a very competitive division. Would you agree?
Yeah. Yeah. I could start with Cos, Coach Cosentino.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's the best. Year in and year out, we've played them now 3 times. They're the best coach, one of the best coach teams that you'll see.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, you watch them on film. They do everything fast. They don't make mistakes. Um, you could just tell they're well coached. I know some coaches on the staff there. I know Kaz does a phenomenal job with those
Mm-hmm.
kids.
Yeah.
So, um, you know, uh, Point Burrow's got that tough kid, that hard nosed kid, that almost like a they remind me of like a brick kind of kid. They're
Oh yeah.
they're all tough kids. And like you said, Manchester's got these returning all division players, and Wilk's done a great job over there in the short period of time that he's been there
Mm-hmm.
as the head coach and as a coordinator as well. Does a great job with those kids. I have one of my coaches is a teacher in the building, so I get constant reports on how good they can be.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said about Barnegat, if there's a consistent team that was a B South and now a Patriot League team. That's funny saying Patriot League, right? I
Yeah.
think like
Yeah.
Fordham
I
and
had to
yeah,
look twice
Buffalo.
at it. Yeah.
Well, consistency always there. You're always going to see a playoff type team. And yeah, like I said before about Asbury, it's intriguing to play them. You know, I've a past history coaching inner city kids, and I do miss a lot of what that kind of coaching was all about.
Mhm.
Those kids are special to me. So that's another interesting thing going forward. Thinking about playing that school,
That's
especially at their
that
place.
coach. I mean, every coach that I talk to says the same thing. Competitive division. That really is because usually there's a weak link. There's a team that just is so much better than everybody else. But there's a bunch of teams here that week in, week out, anybody could beat anybody in this division. So I thought the athletic directors did an outstanding job if their MO was to create competitive games in the Patriot. Would you agree?
Right, and you know what, as well as me, you can't make everybody happy. There's always going to be someone who you say
Mm-hmm.
you can make a case that they could have been in this division or that division. There's, you know, I think about Colts Neck this year. In a really really tough division.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, it's very hard to make everybody happy. I think they've done a good job here. I'm not complaining. We've had to play Modern Day in the past, and they were a division, foe against us. I don't see anyone there like that.
Mm-mm.
Um, you know, we have our work cut out for us because as I look through the division, it's going to be tough for us.
And that's all you want is competitive games for your programs. That's what everybody
Right.
keeps saying. So you know what? Anything can happen on any given week, Coach. All right, Coach Sharples, if you could talk about your football assistant coaches who are the glue to your football program and that make your job a lot easier every single year. So let's hear about those great coaches you have.
Okay, so I'm gonna say here that I feel very fortunate to have the assistants that I have. I like to think that I have some of the best assistants. I have a former head coach, Gerard O'Donnell, who is offensive coordinator this year, and me and Gerard are similar ages, and there's so many things that I could just bounce off of him. He's been with me since I've been head coach, so I've always been able to bounce things off of him and get suggestions and what would you do here. Not so much during a game or X's and O's, but it could be anything. It could be from an email from a parent or anything that I was dealing with. So to have him to lean on is great. And I can tell you this, as an assistant coach and an offensive guy, even though he liked to say he's a defensive guy, he's a great offensive coach. He's a great offensive coordinator. He is a great teacher, and he's been teaching 30 years. So it's not just mathematics like he teaches in the school, but he could teach the offense, and we are running a new offense, and he's doing a phenomenal job in the 4 days that we've been out so far. On my defensive side, Jeff Schmidt, he's been with me now going on 5 years, and his resume speaks for itself. I mean, Jeff should be a head coach if he wants to be somewhere. He is a football lifer. He loves playing, loves coaching it, loves watching it. He is just all about it. And to have those two guys as coordinators is great. It makes my job easy. And even though I was a coordinator, I don't aspire to call plays and to call defenses and things like that anymore. I leave it to those guys, and I think that we're in great hands with them two guys, and that frees me up to do the administrative stuff that we all love to do so much, but someone has to do it. Um, beyond those guys, I have some great assistants that have been around for a while. So Jeff's got a younger brother, Matt, who's my offensive line coach, and as you definitely know, the days of a brick township staff with 8 guys that have been coaching 30 years, all standing next to each other. We're not that fortunate anymore. We have a lot of young guys who getting into coaching. And I've had the same entire staff for 3 years now. And that's something I like to think is a great thing. And some of these younger guys in their 20s, like Matt Schmidt, he's got a playing resume. He played at Wesley, and he was an All-American lineman there for the great teams that came out of Wesley. I also have Matt Spader, who's also a 6 or 7 year veteran of the staff. He was a freshman coach for a lot of years. I have restructured my coaching staff in terms of freshman coaches. We all coach together. We all coach all the kids. The numbers are not great in my school for football, so we are coaching together, and he's going to go back to actually having a big hand in coaching with the freshmen. My other two freshman guys are younger guys that have been with me just a year or two, and 2 years, and they're Matt Ferguson and Ryan Azzolini. They're young guys, and they're learning from some veteran guys. We have some experience on our staff, and they're great guys. The kids, really like these young type of guys they can relate to. They play the same video games. They do the same types of things. So James Lopez is another coach. He's a Toms River East guy who helps out with the JV defense. He's a linebacker coach. He's Jeff Schmidt's right-hand man on our defense. So, our staff is, those 7 guys, that's what makes up the entire staff. And I love having them guys there. We get along good. You know how it is. You're 4 or 5 months with the same, 6, 7 guys, and you better like each other, or it's not going to work out. So we do enjoy each other's company. There's a lot of fun, breaking each other's chops, things like that.
That's common practice in every locker room, I'm sure.
It's always been. It's probably what makes us love it as much as we do. It's just that camaraderie. Probably something that you miss. And you're getting it one-on-one with all us different coaches, but you miss seeing those same 6, 7 guys. About their wives, their kids, what's going on in their lives, and all that is why we love what we do.
I stepped down, and my jokes ain't funny anymore to my former coaches. So they put on a big show for 18 years, Coach. I'm joking. I'm half joking on that, Coach. I mean, we talked in the off season. You have 2 coordinators that are very well respected. That takes a lot of stuff off your plate and allows you to get to know your players, the pulse of the team. And Coach O'Donnell, a experienced veteran coach. He's been a head coach. He's been in other stops. He is a darn good teacher. I haven't been in his classroom, but boy, do I learn a lot of stuff when he talks with his math equations and we talk about state playoff stuff. Those math guys, look out. And Coach Smith as a defensive coordinator. Coach, I'm going to say this on record. When you brought him in as a D coordinator, he made us work like crazy because he always likes to get an extra guy in the box more than what you have. He always did. So we always had to create certain things because he always snuck 1+1, we would call it, in the box, and he was very good against the run. He took away your best plays all the time, which I never knew what my best plays were, so I felt like I had to call him. What's my best plays? I have no clue about our team. Yeah. But he knows.
Well, he's all about leverage. He'll say it to the kids. He'll say it to them. It's leverage and getting people, to the point of attack.
Oh, they're aggressive.
And if you outnumber them at the point of attack, most of the times you're going to win.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You're going to win those battles. So yeah, he is a huge help. I mean, when we did beat Jackson Memorial, we shut him out, and we wouldn't have for sure without him.
You can't throw the football. You're going to have a tough time running the football because he's going to outman you right there. So I'm excited. I know you're going to be a good defense, and offensively with Coach O'Donnell, I could just assume that you guys are going to be very, very well coached and productive on the offensive side of the ball. So you feel a little bit more at ease going into this season having two guys that you're kind of just letting things go?
And I can tell you this: the offense that we're running, Coach Gerard O'Donnell's offense reminds me more of Tim Osborne's offense in terms of what I played, what I enjoyed coaching when I did coach offense. A little more tight end, fullback, some, what you guys like to run.
Yeah.
I would love to have some of your tight ends that you've had in the past, but yeah, it's an offense that has an identity, and I think the kids are even already starting to like understand that if you play an offense like that and you're successful, it carries right over to defense, and they feed each other.
I have a feeling that Coach Osborne's smiling right now. So
yeah, big gap tooth smile.
Old Tom Driver North football style with Coach Bob Nanny.
Right.
Be physical.
So yeah, I enjoy watching it all go in because I get a lot of flashbacks and things like that, and I'm an offensive lineman. I just enjoy that kind of football, and it looks as though we're going to be able to throw it a little bit.
Good.
To keep teams off balance, and with a pounding running game, if you can throw it a little bit.
Yeah,
you could run some play action. You could throw on first down once in a while. Well, now it's a game changer a little bit, and we kind of might have that kind of quarterback this year.
So you got veteran coaches with Coach O'Donnell, Coach Smith, and like you said, a bunch of young guys. And seeing you smile, Coach, with young guys, those guys bring out the best in veteran coaches like yourself. Your locker room or your coach's office, having those young guys, they must keep it really, really, really fun inside the coach's office, right?
Absolutely. They're this must be a Tom's River East thing because I got 3 East coaches.
Oh God! All right, we won't hold that against you.
Punt, pass, and kick. They do it before every game. They're out there. They got a board with first place, second place, third place. Very competitive. Me and OD will just sit there and watch them. We're in our 50s. We're not going to be punting, and I probably wouldn't be able to, kick a field goal more than 10 yards. So, but the young guys enjoy all that, and I'm not going to stop them. Because I want them to love what they're doing, and someday, hopefully, if they want to, move on. I hope that for them if they want to continue to coach.
Yeah, well, I hate punting, Coach, even if it's in a contest. The word punt to me when you're on offense, I don't like to do, but it sounds like you have a lot of fun with your coaches, with your veteran staff also, too. So that's a good mix of coaches for this season, Coach. All right, Coach, now let's talk, or you're going to talk about your Jackson Liberty Lions 2021 football season. But before you go on, I'm going to ask you, just tell us what you guys schematically are running offensively, defensively, and then talk about those exciting new players and key players you got coming back for this season.
Okay. So, the last 2 years, we went to we're in a triple option, flex bone kind of Navy offense. And we are changing, we're doing a 180 from that. We are going to have a tight end or 2. We're going to have a fullback or 2. We're going to look to run the ball. We're going to probably be under center quite a bit. And for us, it's a big change. I was so surprised when we made this change to see the relief on a lot of the kids. In a lot of the kids, I think through their upbringing in AYF, and I think from watching those Jackson Jaguar teams of the past, I think there's a familiarity with that kind of offense, that kind of pro style offense. We could spread it out a little from there if we have to, but yeah, the personality is going to definitely change of the offense. We are going to look to run the ball. We think we can do that. We are trying to get the offensive line right. It has been a challenge with that part of our offense, but behind them, we have a really what we think is a really good running back in Zach Corrado who can really carry the mail. Now, in the past, um, in our offense, we couldn't get him the ball the way we wanted to. He was a slot, and we just couldn't seem to get that pitch when we wanted to. He wasn't the A back where he would, a running downhill kind of guy. He is a slashing back, and he is a tailback.
Good.
So this offense is gonna be good for a kid like that. He's explosive. He's a junior, and he's going to you're going to see about him. You're going to hear about him. I'm sorry. He's a good player. Quarterback, the quarterback situation is pretty unique for us. We have first of all, we have a freshman quarterback who's very promising. A young guy, Dennis Caswell. He's been getting a lot of work. And then just very recently, Coach, a player that we had high hopes for. He was all set. Had a really good youth career, and then went to Donovan Catholic, and then came back a couple of years ago. But when he came back to our school, his name is Dallas Weiss, and when he came back to our school, he just wasn't sure about football anymore. He's a really good basketball player, and we kind of just went our separate ways. So in the springtime, he told me he wasn't going to play, and I thanked him for at least thinking about it. And he gave me a call about a week ago, and he said he wants to play. So we've been
Wait a minute. I called you a week ago too. You never picked up the phone, so you pick it up for him, man. I'm kidding.
Yeah, yeah. I saw his name pop up. Yeah, sure. I picked it up. I figured you'll always call
Well,
back.
that's coach. That's a nice surprise.
It was a nice surprise, and the rust. You figure the 3 years, 4 years of rust isn't as much as I thought it would be, and he looks really good. He looks really comfortable. He's starting to pick things up. So he's a senior, but hopefully, he just continues to fit in. All the kids, they're all friends. So they kind of They kind of did most of the influencing for me. They got him to come out. So
Great.
he's back. There's a couple of my better players, Connor Gallagher and Cooper York. And you probably remember Braden York. It's his younger brother.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be tight ends and receivers in our offense. They're really good pass catchers, really good blockers, good football players. Like I said, we got our fingers crossed that the line starts to come together a little bit, but things are looking up. We have a bunch of kids outside. Connor Hills is a receiver. We have Brandon Gallagher, who is Connor's little brother, who's also a good receiver. We're out. It's early, so we don't really know. We haven't scrimmaged anyone, so we got our fingers crossed that things come around. But the offense looks. I'm as excited as I've been about our offense in a lot of years. It just looks like we could do some different things and keep teams a little bit off balance. Mm-hmm. So hopefully that continues. On defense, we're the 4-3. Jeff Schmidt's defense. We're going into our fifth year with Coach Schmidt, and the amount of familiarity that the kids have has been. You can see it. They pick up on things a lot faster. His defense requires a lot of understanding of why we're doing what we're doing. If kids understand why, they seem to do it better. So that understanding of the concepts is starting to show as well. So, like you said before about the coordinators, I feel like I'm in a really good place in terms of I trust those two guys to continue to do what they're doing, to run the offense and the defense for us.
Coach, that is wow, 5 years, the same defense, which is great because you're very good at it. Your defense really are, especially against the run. And there's nothing wrong when you want to change a scheme because you're changing around your personality of your players. Like you said, with your tailback, getting him the ball on a different angle now, attacking upfield. And it's nice when you get a present when a kid comes back, and it just kind of elevates everybody in the locker room a little bit like that. So regardless of how good he is, he seems to be motivating everybody when you get it when you get a new toy that
Yeah,
comes back in
yeah.
there. So you've been very excited this off season about not only your schedule but the team that you got coming in here. So and it's everybody's got these surprises for everybody. So I'm looking forward to seeing you guys play this year. And with that being said, this will be on tonight, Coach. And then it'll be on the shortfootballreport.com. I am now a .com dude. I'm a media
There you
dude.
go.
No more,
All right.
no more coaching. I'm here just to promote the game of football. And
Something tells me that I'll see you again.
yeah. Oh, on
Somewhere.
sidelines?
Yeah, on the other sideline.
Oh, yeah, not yours. No, somewhere. I don't know. Who knows, Coach? It's
You
funny.
can come on mine whenever you want, but I had a feeling you'll be on the other one.
All I know is I had to take at least a year off, which my
Good.
doctors say everything's good. They're putting all different things and fixing me up. I'm like a medical experiment with all the doctors. It's crazy. So, but
Yeah, yeah.
and the advice I'm getting from doctors, they're not even sports guys, and my wife's listening to him, so he shouldn't be coaching football, right? And the doctors are like, sure, no, he doesn't need to play. Like, what do you think? She bullies them into the questions she wants answered a certain way. But that's another segment right there at my wife. But I'm excited to watch you guys, Coach. From a media standpoint, you've always been very good to me throughout the years, and you got a very familiar staff with a couple of new guys, and it's always neat in high school football. New stars come out. You might be a sophomore moving to your junior year, and maybe you were a role player, and all of a sudden you're a star, or some kid worked harder in the off season, and maybe his scheme was changed, and people's turned to switch. So that's what's exciting about our game, right?
Absolutely.
Awesome, man. It
Absolutely.
really is, and
That's
everything
why
is
we do it. Yeah.
this is great, man. So I want to thank you for coming on the show, Coach, and
You're very welcome.
spending time talking on the greatest talk show out there. Um,
It is.
Next to Undisputed on ESPN, but so just send us out to your program and make sure I say hello to everybody and keep working hard. And um, I'll hear from you soon.
Thanks, Coach. I'll talk to you down the road, man.
Thank you, Coach.